This is part two. So you guys are not confused. Obviously, right? Hence why I'm going to be very, very strict. Especially with Amazon. I'm going to be very strict with Amazon. I'm like, look, man, I'll fly CEOs to my office. I'm gonna go to the look, man. Okay, I want to do business with you guys. I want my movies sold exclusively on 4K Blu-ray. I want all my movies sold on 4K Blu-ray or a new technology Blu-ray when it comes out. I want it sold exclusively on 4K Blu-ray, and I want my movie to come with posters. The deal is you get a flat 40% of the profits. I get a flat 60% of the profits. There is no room for bargaining. That is my final offer. If you don't want to accept this deal and you want to be greedy, I'll just release my movie online, and you Amazon are missing out on the profits. Hence, I put Amazon in a pickle, obviously. Either you accept my deal, which they will. 99% chance I'm going to go with Amazon. Amazon will accept the deal, obviously, because it's free billions. They're obviously going to accept the deal. Either you accept my deal and both parties reap their benefits and we celebrate to the future ahead, or you choose to be greedy and I release my movie online, you miss out on the billions. I'm also going to be the same with the Hollywood actors. The Hollywood actors, I'm going to tell them, look, man, if you're greedy and you want a piece of my royalties when you're not worth it, you want to get a good 0.5%, make an extra $65 million for yourself when I'm paying you already a rich enough salary. I'm paying you $38 million. I'm paying you $34 million. I'm willing to pay you $4 million. If you're greedy and you want to get a piece of royalties, and you're not happy with the money I'm paying you, I'm gonna tell these actors, look, if you're greedy and you want to get a piece of my royalties when you're not worth my royalties, you are more than welcome to abandon the project. I'll cast someone else. You will no longer be saved. You'll be left behind. You'll now go back to being the side tension. Go back to Hollywood, make your dirty millions, and go back to being a dirty slave. Yeah, you'll make your money because you're the main show in Hollywood, but you'll go back to being a dirty slave. You will no longer have freedom. You don't want to accept my offer. You're more than welcome to go back to Hollywood and being a dirty slave and make your dirty millions. You don't want to make your nice, clean, free millions, be spoiled, be saved, experience the success and fame and glory with Ivan Vijay. You're more than welcome to ban the project. I will hire someone else, and I'll cast someone else, and you can go back to Hollywood being a dirty slave and make your dirty millions. I'm going to be very strict, man. I put all these actors in the pickle, man. Either you accept my offer, if it's not good enough for you, even though I'm being very fucking generous, I'm willing to pay you a lot of money still. If it's not good enough for you, you're more than welcome to go back to Hollywood, being a dirty slave and make your dirty millions, man. Yeah, man. I'm gonna be very strict. Look, man. I don't care who you are. You may be Will Smith, you know what I'm saying? Dwayne Johnson, Keanu Reeves, Carl Johansson. I don't care how big you are. You may be Halle Berry, you know what I'm saying? You may be what? Nicole Kidman. I don't care how big. You may be a big actor. Natalie Portman, you know what I'm saying? All these big actors, you may be big. In Hollywood, when you're in my movie, you're no longer the main show. Me and my wife are the main show, hence you're not worth a piece of the royalties. I'm gonna be very strict on that, man. As Amazon's already taking 40% of the pie, man. They're taking a big chunk of the pie. Amazon will never give any of these actors a piece of the pie. I highly doubt it. And so it makes you think I'm gonna give you a piece of the pie. Amazon's already taking a big chunk of the pie. They're taking 40%. I'm not gonna give you like 0.5% of the pie. No fucking way, man. Considering I'm investing hundreds of millions of dollars, you didn't invest a dime. You're not paying the bills. I'm the one paying the bills, and you're not getting a piece of the royalties, obviously. I'm also going to be strict with the crewmen too. There's a good chance for the organization will be some crewmen might even want more money, man. Some crewmen who come back might be like, hey Ivan, are you going to pay me $160,000? I'm like, no, man, I'm not paying you. Well, I'm not paying you any more than $150,000. $150,000 is a nice fucking paycheck, as you're not going to make this money anywhere else. Because in Hollywood, you're going to get like, what, 30, 40K? Me paying you 150K is me being very fucking generous. I'm not paying you any more than that, as I'm being very generous. I'm being very generous. You get your 150K, you get spoiled with nice social buffet, you get your once a month parties, you get flown privately, you get the luxury hotel party, you also get your $2,000 gift card. I'm giving you a good deal. Don't like my deal, you're more than welcome to work and go back to working in Hollywood and making your $30,000 if you want to. Since I put all these guys in the pickle, obviously. Because I paid all these guys an unheard amount of money, none of them are going to be mad. Right. The only people who might get a bit angry are the big A-listers, because the big A-listers are very, very greedy. Whereas the crewmen, none of them... some of the crewmen might be greedy and want more money, but I highly doubt it, because they're never going to make this anywhere else. They're never going to make $150,000 in Hollywood. No fucking way. And the crewmen are going to really, really appreciate the $150,000 I'm paying them. But there might be a few out there who might want more money, who might want $160,000 or something. I'm like, look, man, I'm not paying you way more than $150,000. as you're not going to make this money anywhere else, man. If you don't like, if you're not happy with $150,000, you're more than welcome to work in Hollywood and make your $30,000 if you want to, and go back to eating shitty food. If you want to eat that shitty food, that pretty shitty food in Hollywood, like meat, potatoes, and pasta and all that stuff, you're more than welcome to go to Hollywood, obviously, if you want to. I'm gonna keep saying that. But I'm pretty sure Hollywood sometimes probably gives their crew and actors a nice buffet. I'm pretty sure they do. I don't know if they do, but from what I've seen behind the scenes, they don't get served luxury food, man. They get served like meat, potatoes, pasta, and veggies, that kind of stuff. Not bad food, but it's shitty food, man. There's nothing worse than getting served food like that. No, man. Serve them like luxury food, like barbecue ribs, fried rice, teriyaki meats. You know what I'm saying? Chicken wings, nice hamburger sliders, nice thin crust pizzas with garlic sauce, nice breaded crispy fries, a huge variety salad bar. Serve them nice food. That way they all work hard for you, man. Right? There's nothing worse than working blood, sweat, and tears. You're getting served shitty food, man, like meat, potatoes, pasta, and salad and veggies. No, man. Serve them a nice, a nice buffet. That way they work hard for you. Serve them a nice breakfast. That way they all work hard for you, obviously. Right? There's a good chance for the cinematographers. I'm not paying the cinematographers for Zans. I'm not paying them any more than $2 million. As $2 million is me being very generous. As in Hollywood, cinematographers get like $400,000, $500,000 in Hollywood. Some of them can bargain for $1 million, but most of them get like a couple $100,000, $300,000, $400,000 for a movie in Hollywood. So me paying the cinematographers, only the main guys get $2 million. So I'll have a good, I don't know, I'll lease a good eight IMAX cameras. That's enough. 7, 8. I'll lease a good 7, 8 IMAX cameras. The main 5. I'll hire a good like 5 main people, and everyone else are assistants. The main 5, you pay them like $2 million, and the assistants, you pay them like $160,000, whatever it is. Because it's a lot. Because the cameramen are like pretty much the foundation for your movie. The assistants, you can pay them a nice $170,000, which is nice. I can pay them a bit more than $150,000. I'll pay the assistant cameraman a nice $170,000, and I'll pay the main one's $2 million, and the assistants you pay like $170,000. So only like the main 5 cameramen, I'll pay them $2 million, and the other ones you pay them like $170,000. The assistants, obviously, because most movies, because I'll have a good 3 main cameras for the shots. And you have 2 cameras are used for overhead shots. 1 camera is used for gliding, another is used for overhead shots. And then I'll have a good 2 backup cameras, which is enough, obviously. So at least a good 7 IMAX cameras. That's enough. 7 to 8 IMAX cameras is more than enough. Whereas in Hollywood, sometimes they lease 30 cameras. They're just wasting money. You don't need to lease 30. It's good to have some backup cameras just in case. But I'm going to lease a good 7 IMAX cameras. That's more than enough. 3 main cameras for the main shots. You have 2 cameras, 1 for gliding, 2 cameras for high shots, for high drone shots, that kind of stuff. For the war. Now, for the war, I might have more angles of cameras. I'll have them have more angles of cameras for the war, obviously. And I'm not a fan of digital cameras. I want my camera to be filmed on film. I want my camera to be filmed on film, not digital film. Hence, I want to get IMAX cameras, but I want to get the film ones, not the digital ones, obviously. As there's digital IMAX cameras and there's film IMAX cameras, I'm gonna get the film IMAX cameras. As IMAX cameras are the best cameras in Hollywood. One of, if not the best cameras in Hollywood. And you get that nice wide shot. Avengers: Infinity War, Dunkirk, those movies were filmed in IMAX. If you want to get nice shots like that, you have to lease the IMAX camera, obviously. Now, at least a good 7 to 8 cameras is enough. I'm not going to go any more than 8, man. 8 cameras is more than enough. At least a good 7 to 8 cameras. IMAX cameras are very, very expensive, man. To lease 1 IMAX camera, you're paying, for me to lease 7 cameras will cost me $5-6 million, man. For the 2 years, for 9 months, you're looking at $5 million, $6 million. A lot of money, man. You also have the camera equipment too. You need camera equipment for the war, like stands and all that stuff for the war, all that stuff. You need to lease all. You not only have to lease the cameras, you have to lease the equipment for the cameras, the stands for the cameras, and all that stuff. You have to lease all that for the war. You need high shot angles. The camera has to move. You need to release all that stuff. That costs us money. The equipment for the camera will cost a couple $100,000, but the IMAX cameras are very, very pricey, man. They're To lease like 7 will cost me like $6 million, man, for 9 months, which is easily affordable if you have 550 going towards the movie, obviously, easily affordable. Hence why I want Peter Jackson and them if they're hired. I want Peter Jackson and Mel Gibson to be the executive producers. They can also consult. They can tell me. They can tell me and my wife. They can tell me and my wife what good equipments are. What are the best equipments out there for cameras? What is the best? I'll ask Peter Jackson and Mel Gibson, or if they're hired, what is the best camera that's used in Hollywood? And they're like, yeah, I haven't seen IMAX camera, and I'm saying, okay, well, like, I want my film to be filmed in film, not digital. Where do I get the? You know what I'm saying? Though they can help you out, obviously. Hence why I want to put them as executive producers. That way they can consult for a lot of the business. Obviously, you can have them consult for business. As Peter Jackson they obviously know about cameras and stuff. They know what are the best cameras in Hollywood. They know what are the best equipment for the cameras. You can have them consult that way. What they can help out you and your wife and your 7 team, obviously. Because me and my wife are only making the calls for the main stuff, and that's it. We're only making the calls for the main stuff, and that's it, man. Like, I want to make the calls for the cameras. I can have if Peter Jackson and Mel Gibson are hired, I can have them help me out with that. Help me out what kind of cameras my wife can get. They can consult, obviously. What are the best equipment out there for the cameras, for the wars, all that stuff, for drones, for cameras, for high scenes. Because nowadays you can just have a drone. You can have your camera flown on a drone. Whereas back in the day they had to use like helicopters for high footage. Whereas nowadays because technology is so high tech, I can lease a good 2 drones, and those drones can be used for high footage shots, that kind of stuff. Because I want some high footage shots too of the camera. That's why you're gonna have to lease some drones too. If you want to get the best movie possible, obviously. And I personally want to lease the IMAX cameras. IMAX is the best camera in Hollywood. That's why I want to lease IMAX cameras, obviously. That's why I'm putting $380 million towards special effects. So almost $400 million will be poured into special effects for the world building, for the action sequences. You know what I'm saying? For the horror of the demon wolves, you're looking at something. Hence why you're looking at something. What you're looking at a revolutionary movie. You're looking at the scariest movie ever made. You're looking at little devils on the screen, man. Hence why I'm gonna keep saying this. The actors chosen for Zanes are the fucking luckiest. The actors from our other movies chosen are lucky too, but none of them they're not as lucky as the actors chosen for Zanes. As the actors chosen for Zanes are going to be fighting devils on the screen, man. You're looking at the devil himself on the screen. If you think The Exorcist was scary, I remember when I rented that movie, that was fucking disturbing. If you think that movie is disturbing, Last Revenge it will make The Exorcist look like a PG-13 movie. It will make The Exorcist look like a PG-13 movie. As Exorcist is freaky, obviously, but Eretat, you're looking at the little devil himself on the screen. You're looking at the devil master wolf king in the south. Ephesus, you're looking at the devil king bat in the mountains. You're looking at. Remember that scene in Fellowship of the Ring when they went into Moria? That was pretty freaky. Well, think something 3 times. You're looking at Tachys and all of them are fighting what demon bats, and Tachys fights Ephesus in the cavern. I don't want to spoil the story for you. Tachys fights Ephesus in the cavern, and they also fight the demon bats in the cursed caverns. Obviously, for the cursed caverns, think something like Moria, except better quality than Moria, as Fellowship of the Ring was made in the early 2000s. So think something like Moria, except better quality than that, because I'm putting so much money towards the movie, towards special effects, towards action sequences, towards separating, towards extras. For the war, I'm actually going to have thousands of people lined up for the war, and you're looking at something unheard of. For the gatherings, I'm actually going to have 30,000 people. I can afford it. It'll cost me a good $40 million for 60,000 extras, but if you're putting $550 million towards the movie, it's more than enough money, obviously. $550 million is so much money that after everything is paid for, there's a good chance I might even have a good 15, 20 million left over in my budget. Obviously, that's how big of a budget. 550 is unheard of, man. As Lord of the Rings, for each movie, for all 3 movies of Lord of the Rings, they only made it for like 270 million. Whereas me, I'm putting 550. And don't forget, the 270 million put towards Lord of the Rings, that includes salaries. And it includes salaries. Whereas the $550 million I'm putting towards my movie, that does not include salaries. As $410 million is going towards salaries, and $550, all of that's poured towards the movie, man. Hence why you're looking at something unheard of. You're looking at the best. You're looking at a $550 million put towards the movie, man. Obviously, and you're looking at something unheard of. So I'm putting $380 million towards special effects. The costumes and weapons will cost me, I don't know, $25 million. Obviously, set building is like $30 million. The extras are like $40 million. By the time I even paid all the extras, by the time I pay all the extras, pay for the flights, there's a good chance I might have a good like $25 million left over because the budget's so big, man. Hence, Peter Jackson and Mel Gibson, if they're hired, they're going to have an unlimited budget to work with. Almost $400 million towards special effects. Hence, Peter Jackson and Mel Gibson don't have to worry about running out of money for the scenes. For the war scenes, for the world building, for the horror of the wolves, Peter Jackson and Mel Gibson don't have to worry about running out of money because I put so much money towards the movie, which is a fucking good feeling. Hence why they're gonna bed, because they know for my movies I have like an unlimited budget. There's nothing better as a director knowing that you have an unlimited budget. You don't have to worry about not having enough money for certain scenes, that kind of stuff. Yeah, you don't have to worry about limitations for scenes, that kind of stuff. Whereas for my movie, you're looking at an unlimited budget. Putting almost $400 million towards special effects. I don't know, 30 plus 35, $30 million towards building the sets. Obviously, so $380 million towards building a set, towards special effects, and then you have a good, I don't know, $30 million towards set building. That's like what? That's $420 million. Obviously, costumes and weapons will probably cost another $30 million. That's $460. The extras will cost like $40 million. That's $490. I still have $60 million left over. Then you have $10 million towards. You have $10 million towards what? You have $10 million towards the red carpet event. You also have all the flights and the hotel stay and the limo driver and the food. You have $6 million towards. There's a good chance I'm gonna have a good like $25 million left over after everything's drained. There's a good chance I might have a good $20 million left over in the budget because the budget's so large, man. It's a large budget, man. But for the extras, for the costumes, I'll have my 17 rent the costumes. You can't make 60,000 costumes. It's too much, right? So what I'll do is I'll have Weta Workshop create the weapons for the main actors only, for the main actors, the main animal characters, and the main human characters. Create the weapons for them, obviously, and then all the other weapons for the war you can just rent it, man. I'll ask Weta Workshop. I'll ask Weta Workshop. Hey, can you pull off making 15,000 swords? I don't know, 12,000 swords and like bows and arrows. If they can pull it off, I'll have Weta Workshop create the weapons. If they can't pull it off, I'm gonna have to rent the weapons, obviously. So I'll just have Weta Workshop make the armor for the main actors, the weapons for the main actors, and the extras, the armor and all stuff. You have to rent all that. If Weta Workshop can't pull it off, you're gonna have to rent all the armor and all that stuff. You're gonna have to rent all the armor. You're gonna have to rent. For the clothing, for the extras and all stuff, you have to rent it. Call a Top Notch Medieval Company, and you rent all the costumes for the 6,000 extras. Again, that's going to cost millions of dollars, obviously. But costumes are not as expensive as weapons and all that stuff. But for the clothing and weapon, you're looking at like $35 million, perhaps even more, perhaps even $40 million. 6,000 extras is a lot of people. You're looking at like 30 million to perhaps even $40 million for the war. Probably about $35 million for the clothing and weapons. Around there. And the extras are going to cost me like $45 million, which is easily affordable with a big budget like this. And don't forget, you have the limo companies taking the people. That costs money. Their hotel stay, that all costs money. The trailers, the food. The food will only cost like, I don't know, for a buffet for a year, it will only cost like, I don't know, $1 million. 800 grand, 500 to like $1 million the food will cost. It won't cost that much, the food. But you have all that going towards the movie. You also have the $2,000 gift card. That's like $3.5 million on the budget. Give everyone a $2,000 gift card. It's like $3,000. To give 1,500 people a $2,000 gift card is like $3,500 on the budget, man. Right. Hence why you're looking at something. When you see the documentary, you're gonna be like, "Holy shit, man! This is the biggest movie project ever made." Yeah, man. Last of Us will be the biggest movie project ever made, man. If you thought Lord of the Rings was a big project, Lord of the Rings is only like a portion of the project of Last of Us. Last of Us, you're looking at an unheard of huge project, man. You're looking at 60,000 extras. It was something crazy. You're looking at 9-7 million going towards the movie, man, which is a lot of money, man. Lord of the Rings was only made for 270 million for the 3 movies around there, and that includes salaries. Whereas I'm putting 550 million. That does not include salaries. That's a lot of money, man. Looking at the biggest budget movie ever made, man, it looks something crazy. I told you. I keep saying this. There's a high chance I'm gonna have this talk with my wife. There's a high chance I will hire either Peter Jackson or Mel Gibson to direct my movie. And if I do, I will pay them a nice $40 million, which is nice. I'm not going any higher than $40 million. That's good enough. I'll pay them a nice $40 million out of my pocket. I have to pay them out of my pocket because if I pay them through the budget, it's going to affect the budget. I won't have enough to pay other people. So I have to, if I pay Peter Jackson or Mel Gibson, whoever's hired, I will have to pay them out of my pocket, which is easily affordable. I can easily afford it. They get paid the $40 I'll pay them a $10 million signing bonus for pre-production. They'll be co-writing the script with me, doing the concert arts with me, and they'll be consulting for some business. That's it. That's all they'll be doing the first year. And the second year, I'll send them home to spend time with their family because they're going to want to spend time with their family. I'll send them home to spend time with their family. I'm going to tell them, look, man, I'll send you home for the second year. You can spend time with your family. Obviously, there's a good chance they're going to want to stay in the hotel because they don't want to be left behind. Because me and my wife are that special. But I'll send them home the second year. I'll send one of them I'll send either one of them home the second year. That way they can spend time with their family. And I'll tell them, look, when you go home, I want you going over your directing notes every day. Try and go over your directing notes as much as you can. That way you're well prepped for production the fourth year. In the third year, they'll be flown to Switzerland and they'll be consulting for some of the business when everyone's prepping, all that stuff. At the same time, I want them going over the directing notes. That way they're prepped. I want you going over the directing notes with the 2 script developers and the assistant director who's chosen. That way you guys are all prepped for production, obviously. And then fourth year production will start, and if they're chosen, if one of them are chosen, they'll be directing my Last Hope for Zayas movie for 9 months, and they get their $30 million for the fourth year, which is nice, obviously. They get their fat $30 million for the fourth year when they direct my movie, obviously, which is a nice deal, obviously. As most directors most directors make less than even the actors for movies, man. Most directors make less than the actors. The only ones who get a lot of money are the really big ones. Like guys like Christopher Nolan, Peter Jackson, Mel Gibson, those directors, Quentin Tarantino, Steven Spielberg, those directors make a lot of money, obviously. James Cameron, those directors make a lot of money because they're very, very big directors. Whereas if it's a director who's not that big, chances are he only got a few million for the movie and the actors get more than him, obviously. Obviously, right? But who knows? Christopher Nolan might be a good candidate for my organization movie, man. Something tells me he's a good candidate. The problem is he's just going to cost me more money, though. But he's a good candidate. But I'm sticking to my guns. I'm gonna have the guy who directed John Wick and Casino Royale compete for the role. As Christopher Nolan's too expensive. I don't feel like taking out that much money, man. As Christopher Nolan's just gonna cost me too much money. He's a good candidate for organization movie, but he's gonna cost me a lot of money, man. I'm not willing to pay. I don't feel like taking out an extra $20 million to pay someone else. No. As the director who directed John Wick and the one who directed Casino Royale, they would gladly direct my movie for $10 million. Whereas Christopher Nolan would not accept $10 million. He would ask for $25-30 million to direct my movie, and he's worth it. But I'm not willing to pay a director that for my organization movie. Whereas for Zayas, I'm willing to take out the checkbook and pay, because Zayas is a unique story. I'm willing to take out the checkbook and pay guys like Peter Jackson or Mel Gibson a nice $40 million. I'm willing to pay them that because what? Because Zayas is a very unique story, and I told you there's a high chance I'm going to hire one of those guys. And if I do, I'll fly. Their agents are going to call me. Once I start the process of Zayas, there's a good chance Peter Jackson's agent and Mel Gibson's agent might call my office. Hey, Ivan, man, are you considering hiring a director for your movie? They might even call me up, and I might consider. And if I do consider hiring a director, I'll fly those 2 guys on my private jet to my nice luxurious office. So not only do those two what those 2 directors are also going to get to experience my private jet. But Peter Jackson and Mel Gibson are filthy rich, man. Those guys are worth like hundreds of millions of dollars. They're filthy rich people, obviously. But even their wealth is pocket change to my wealth. I'll fly them on my nice private jet, which is nice. They get 2 beers in my jet. And when they arrive to Vancouver, a limo driver will take them to my office. And don't forget the docs will be filming all this. And I'll have them compete for the job, man. I'll have them compete for the job. I'm going to ask them a series of questions. Okay, what are you thinking of when I mention the South? What are you thinking of when I mention the North? The North being holy. What do you see Eretat as a devil wolf king? You see him as a wolf on four legs. You see him look. What do you picture in your mind? You see him looking like a werewolf. Do you see him looking like a wolf on four legs? Do you see him as a wolf with human appearance? What are you thinking of for Ephesus, the devil bat in the mountains? What are you thinking of the mountains of Gilead? What are you thinking of the crows, the eagles? What are you thinking of when you think of Zanus, with a great wall of Zanus? What are you thinking of the Valley of Blood? What are you thinking of the Forest of Galatha? What are you thinking of the Valley of the Dark? You ask them all these questions. Whoever comes up with a better answer, that's the director who will be hiring. But I told you, something tells me, my heart's telling me Mel Gibson's the right man for the job, man. Because Passion of Christ is such a masterpiece. You have that horror aspect with the demons and Jesus. And Takis is like a symbolism of Jesus. Hence why he's really, really good for that movie. Because you have the cursed demon. You have the cursed demon ancestors who are demons, pretty much. They're devils. That's why Mel Gibson's good, because you have that horror aspect of Zanus. But Peter Jackson, you also have that fantasy world for the Lord of the Rings. That's why The Lord of the Rings is not a horror movie. It's a PG movie, PG-13 movie. But you have that amazing fantasy world filled with Lord of the Rings. Hence why they're both really, really good for the job, man. Hence why Peter Jackson and Mel Gibson are really, really good for the job. Hence why I'm going to have them fight for the job, man. They're gonna, when they fight, they're really, really going to fight, man. They're going to really compete for the job because they all want that job so badly, man. They all want that job so badly. Peter Jackson and Mel Gibson, once I read my book, they're like, oh my God, I would love to direct this movie. They're all going to be drooling over my book. They're going to be like, oh my God, I would love to direct this movie. This will be a dream of mine to direct this movie. As every director's dream is to direct an Ivan movie, obviously. There's nothing cool in directing an Ivan movie. Especially a story like Last of Rosales. As once you read my book, you will never be the same. You're looking at the best story ever told in motion picture, man. Yes, even better than J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. But I'm going to keep saying this. J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings has better world building, but I have a better story. And if you don't put a lot of money into Zanus, it will not be better than Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. I'm going to keep saying that. If I put $200 million towards my movie, it will not be better than Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. You have to put an unheard amount of money into it for unheard of world building, for the North and the South, the mountains of Gilead, the Forest of Galatha. You have to put unheard money into it. You have to have Eretat be the devil himself, the horror of the wolves. You also have to have unheard of action sequences, top high-end action sequences. That way you get the best movie possible. An unheard of soundtrack. Hence why I'm hiring Hans Zimmer. But something tells me Howard Shore is right for the job because he did Lord of the Rings. But I don't want to do Hans Zimmer like that. I already said I'm going to hire him. I'll stick to my guns. I'll hire Hans Zimmer and I'll have him compose the choir. I'll have him compose the soundtrack, obviously. Considering Hans Zimmer is one of the best in Hollywood. I'm sticking to my guns. I'm gonna go with Hans Zimmer and I'll have him compose the soundtrack. You're looking at an amazing soundtrack for Last of Us. You also have to have an amazing soundtrack too. Soundtrack is very important for your movie, man. A soundtrack, soundtracks create tension, mood, all that stuff. That's why you have to have an amazing. You know how Lord of the Rings has an amazing soundtrack? You have to have an amazing soundtrack for my Last of Us movie. And that's why you got to hire the best of the best, man. You got to hire someone, Hans Zimmer. I'll hire Hans Zimmer for my Last of Us movie. Those seem top notch. And I told you, Peter Jackson and Mel Gibson, I'll have them compete for the job. The deal is they get $40 million to direct my movie, and they get a $250,000 royalty check for all the releases, which is very nice, obviously. I can easily give them $1 million, but the moment you give them $1 million for release, they're ripping you off, as they're not worth $1 million for release. As $250,000, as most directors don't even get a dime for any DVD sales or any of that stuff. Right? They don't get a dime for that stuff. Hence why I'm nice enough to pay them a $250,000 royalty check. So you get your flat, rich salary, which is $40 million, and you get your $250,000 royalty check for the release, obviously. They don't get any money for the posters because they're not going to be featured on the posters, as they're not the advertising for your movies. They don't get a dime for that. But I'm paying them way more money than all these Hollywood, than all the actors that makes up for it, obviously. I'm paying these directors way more money than all the actors for my movie. I'm willing to pay them a nice $40 million out of my own pocket, obviously. So a good $1.05 billion went towards the movie if you're including Peter Jackson or Mel Gibson's salary, as well as the fee for the building, the special effects team, as well as the building for me, my wife, and the 17. You know what I'm saying? And I told you, there's a high chance I'm gonna hire him. I'm gonna have this big talk with my wife. I'm gonna tell Vijay, look, man, even though I want to direct my movie, I know directing and starring as a lead is very, very stressing, man. I'm gonna be very, very stressed out. Hence why I think it's best to hire a director. But if I hire a director, I'll have him co-write it with me. That way, he knows the ins and outs of the story. He knows the ins and outs of the story, and he does a concept art. That way, you get a good movie. As long as Peter Jackson, Mel Gibson co-write it with you, you should get a good movie. You guys have the same vision of what you want the movie to be about. You know what I'm saying? You do the concept arts together, you should get an amazing movie. As Mel Gibson's fucking talented. As Passion Christ is a fucking masterpiece, obviously. Passion Christ is a masterpiece. That war movie that he did, I forget what it was called. What was it called again? That guy who rescues people in the field and all that stuff. I forget what that movie was called. Hacksaw Ridge, yeah, that was an amazing movie too. That was a masterpiece too. Mel Gibson's an amazing director, obviously. Peter Jackson is an amazing director too, but Mel Gibson's more consistent with his movies, obviously. Mel Gibson has more consistency in terms of his movies, but Peter Jackson, he directed the best movie trilogy ever made, hence why he's really good too, obviously. Lord of the Rings, in my opinion, is the best movie trilogy ever made. I don't think anything will ever top that, except for Zane's, if you put a lot of money into it. Whereas Mel Gibson did Passion of Christ, which is also a masterpiece. Passion of Christ, you can argue, is one of the best movies ever made too, man. That's a fucking top 10, top 15 best movies ever made, man. It's a masterpiece. You have the horror with the demons, and you also have Jesus. Hence why he's very good for Last of Us too. Hence why something tells me Mel Gibson's the man for the job, man. My gut's telling me he's the right man for the job. But at the same time, my gut's also telling me Peter Jackson's good for the job too, though. Hence why whoever is chosen, if I hire a director, there's a good chance I will hire a director. I'll have them compete for the job, man. They're going to have to compete. And if they're chosen, they're going to be saved for 4 years, for 4.5 years. As Peter Jackson and Mel Gibson will be a part of the post-production process. They'll be a part of post-production. Obviously, they'll be a part of post-production. Obviously. Peter Jackson and Mel Gibson will be a part of post-production. They'll be a part of post-production. Obviously. They'll be a part of post-production. And they will what? They'll be a part of post-production, and they'll be... So me and my wife, Peter Jackson or Mel Gibson, whoever's hired, they'll be watching post-production too, obviously. They'll be involved in the process. They'll let the special effects the special effects team do their thing, but they're obviously going to want to watch. They're going to be watching, obviously. So during post-production, I can have Peter Jackson and them stay at a hotel. So I can have them sleep in a trailer for the post-production. For post-production, I can have them sleep in a trailer. For post-production, I can have them watch production. Or I can have them sleep in a hotel. I'll just have them sleep in a hotel. Have them sleep in a hotel and they can watch production. Because they're going to want to be a part of post-production, Peter Jackson or Mel Gibson. They're going to want to be a part of post-production. And in my opinion, as a director and executive producer, you need to be a part of post-production. Hence why I'll have them. They'll be watching too with me and my wife during post-production. They're listening top-notch. Let's shut my camera off here.